To integrate Bill.com API, start by creating a developer account on the Bill.com website, which will provide you with a client ID and client secret. These credentials are necessary for authenticating your API requests. Next, choose the programming language you will use for integration, such as Python or Java, and install the required libraries. The first step in the integration process is to authenticate your API requests using the client ID and client secret. You can do this by sending a POST request to the Bill.com API authentication endpoint with your credentials. The response will include an access token that you will use to authenticate subsequent requests. Once you have obtained an access token, you can start making API requests to interact with the Bill.com platform. For example, you can use the API to create new bills, send payments, or retrieve a list of vendors. Each API endpoint has its own set of parameters and requirements, so be sure to consult the Bill.com API documentation for specific details. When making API requests, it is essential to handle errors and exceptions properly. This includes checking the response status code and parsing any error messages that may be returned. You should also implement retry logic to handle temporary errors such as network connectivity issues. In terms of best practices, it is recommended to use a secure connection when making API requests, such as HTTPS. To protect sensitive data, you should also keep your client ID and client secret confidential to prevent unauthorized access to your account. To get started with the Bill.com API, you can use the provided code samples and documentation as a reference. These resources include example code in various programming languages, as well as detailed explanations of each API endpoint and its parameters. By following these steps and best practices, you can successfully integrate the Bill.com API into your application and start automating your accounting tasks. Remember to consult the Bill.com API documentation for specific details on each endpoint and parameter, and to handle errors and exceptions properly to ensure a smooth and reliable integration.